I'm Rachel,
And I'm Amanda.
and this is episode 9 of Books and Bingos. This week, we're recommending books with some summer vibes. So, Amanda, I know we're definitely feeling the summer vibes. Summertime is almost here for us. We both
Yeah.
have 1 week left of students at work, and then it'll be
Woo.
summertime.
Yes.
Do you have any fun plans for the summer?
I am going to be doing some traveling. It is work related, but I'm hoping to sneak in some touristy things as well. I'll be going to San Diego and San Jose on two separate things. So hopefully I can sneak off to San Francisco, which I've never been to California at all. So I'm excited to venture out west. What about you?
That sounds like a lot of fun. I think we're gonna do a few like little mini trips around the area, but my big focus is my house. I really want to get like all the clutter out and kind of reorganize everything, bring some calm into the home for next school year.
Yeah, that's like my favorite thing to do in the summer is to like get rid of stuff and minimalize all the stuff everywhere, even though every year I feel like it accumulates even more. But yeah, decluttering and organizing is my jam.
Absolutely. That's what our summertime is for, right? Getting all those things you
Yes.
get done during the year. All right, Amanda, tell us about your first summery pick.
So, I chose This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I have read, she has two other ones out before this one, and I loved them both. And I was like, is this like, is she going to end up being an auto buy for me? And this one clinched it for 100%. She is now one of my favorite top adult romance writers. So this title is actually it released May 7th. So it's still a newer one. The whole thing is kind of like the author's ode to Prince Edward Island and Anne of Green Gables. So if you're into that whole thing, they bring it up a lot, and most of the story takes place on Prince Edward Island. The author is from Canada, so all of her books are in that area up there. I really enjoyed reading about that because I don't get to read about books set in Canada that often. And so that was interesting. And then as a child, I loved Anne of Green Gables, so that was very nostalgic for me. This features the main character owns a flower shop, and she has her best friend call her out of the blue. This best friend is supposed to be getting married in a week and has decided to ditch everything and go home to Prince Edward's Island. And she won't tell her why. She just says, I need you, come here. And we get to find out kind of what drama the best friend is having with her wedding, but also we get flashbacks into the past when the best friend met her best friend's brother and they had a little tryst and then found out who they were to each other. And her best friend's one rule is do not fall in love with my brother. So they've kind of kept their semi relationship like a secret all these years. And so all of it comes out. And so this is a great second chance romance, friends to lovers, best friend's brother. They have time jumps, which I love. It does have like a lot of emotion involved at the end, which I love. I loved that as well. And it's a for sure 5 stars for me. There is a panic attack, a death of a loved one, cancer, hospitalization, grief, and so I feel like there are a couple of content warnings involved, but nothing too over the top. Um, and just like a great summer romance. If you're heading to the beach and you want something that you won't be able to put down at the same time you don't want to finish, this is the one.
Awesome. My next one is going in a little bit different direction. I've got a middle grade fantasy. I actually read this one as a finalist for the Civils Award. It is Conjure Island by Eden Royce. I would highly recommend the audiobook that is narrated by Bonnie Turpin. She's amazing. This essentially follows a girl who has a family emergency, and she ends up spending the summer with her grandmother, who happens to run a school for Southern conjure magic. It's set on a South Carolina island, and a lot of the nature elements were really, really fun. Think like kind of like a summer school version of Harry Potter with a lot more diversity, and I think some interesting family dynamics as well. We have her family that's having the emergency. We have this grandmother that she doesn't know very well. And it actually kind of traces back to her ancestors and their involvement in conjure magic. So I think that was really the most interesting part, I think, for me to see like the ancestral connections. And as our main character is building new relationships there, she's learning more about Southern Conjure. And as I mentioned, she discovers that she really is kind of from a magical family, and she gets to feel like she's finally found a place where she really belongs. And I think that's just always a fun story to read. I did not write down the content warnings because I could not remember any, but I think there's just in general life stuff. I mean, there is a loved one that goes into the hospital, but she is okay. There's some disconnect with some family members, but they're kind of working through those things. So I think a lot of the content warnings work themselves out in a pretty decent way in this one.
That's so funny because my next pick is actually kind of similar in the fact that it's going to like a place with grandparents and a summer time setting. So I love that we both like accidentally randomly picked those. Um Mine is The Firefly Summer by Morgan Matson. This is Morgan's first middle grade book. It came out last year, I believe. And it is realistic fiction, so that's how it differs from Conjure Island. But it is a middle grade book, and it's filled with summer camp adventure, which if you're into summer camp vibes, this is the one for you because the main character, her mother passed away when she was 4, so she doesn't know or remember a whole lot about her. But when she finds out that her mother's family owns this summer camp kind of retreat thing, she actually agrees to go spend the summer there, despite the fact that her dad and that side of the family don't have a great relationship, but she really wants to learn more about her mom and her other side of the family. So deals with found family. There is a little bit of a mystery involved that has to do with her mother. So I thought that was interesting. So if you're a fan of the Vanderbeekers and the Penderwicks, you will love this one as well. You will love this because it's about these non-traditional families and how like the hijinks they get into. And it's so funny because when I posted my review of this on my Instagram, I had so many people comment or message me how much they loved it as well. So the fact that it's Morgan's debut middle grade is just so exciting that she had such a great response to it. The content warning is there is the death of the parent, but that's right at the beginning and it's not recounted. It's just, I mean, it's not gone through in great detail. It's just mentioned and it's kind of revolving around the theme of the story. But yeah, so if you like Morgan's young adult, she writes young adult romance mostly, then give this one a try for a great middle grade read for the summer.
Sounds great. Okay, so my next one is another middle grade that I just recently finished. It's from right off from our school library shelves. I just searched in our catalog for a summer book to try. It's called The Summer of Lost and Found by Rebecca Behrens. This is a middle grade realistic fiction with a lot of a historical element. Basically, after our main character's dad kind of secrets himself away to London overnight, unannounced, our main character is forced to give up the summer she had planned out for herself with her best friend in her home area of New York City. And she has to go with her mom to North Carolina to study this really old plant that's very important. But, you know, to her, it's just a plant. She ends up in Roanoke. And if any of you know any history of Roanoke, that involves a lost colony. So when she meets a new boy and kind of creates a local frenemy, she decides to learn more about Roanoke and try to find the lost colony herself. She works through all of these things as she's working through the emotions of the drama surrounding her parents that seem to be splitting up. And it's just really interesting with all the Roanoke stuff. I like weird, like unsolved historical mystery things. I love that element. So it was really fun to read some, you know, real things about Roanoke and some kind of historically fictional things that the author created as well. The comparison I wanted to give for this is super spoilery. So if you read this, then let's talk. There is content warnings for death of a parent, separation of parents, historical details of the lost colony that include death, starvation, drowning, violence, etc. But I highly recommend this as a middle grade book, especially for those who are interested in the Roanoke element.
Yeah, that looks really cool. I, for some reason, haven't heard of that one yet. So I'm excited to maybe add it to my library in the fall.
It came out a few years ago and I'd really never heard about it. I had no idea it tied in with Roanoke. I mean, I see it on my shelf all the time, but when I heard Roanoke, I'm like, I'm in. I read this one.
I like the idea of that too, of figuring out what happened and all that kind of stuff. So that sounds really interesting.
It made me want to find like a historical event and kind of create my own like version of it, of like explaining how I
Yes.
think it happened. It really motivated me. So we'll see. We'll see what historical event I can come up with. And those are our recommendations for the week. If you would like to share your recommendations or request a theme to be highlighted in a future show, reach out on social media at Books and Bingos or email us at booksandbingos@gmail.com. If you haven't yet, head over to tiny.cc/booksandbingos to request a Books and Bingos sticker. Thanks for listening and join us again next week when we'll be discussing books releasing in June. Happy reading!